Let's talk about the status bar. The status bar, as we have already mentioned in our previous videos, is the bar of icons that appears along the top of your home screen and indeed many apps. You won't see it on the lock screen and you won't see it in some full screen apps. So if you're watching Netflix or certain apps that take over the whole screen don't have the status bar, but most of them will have it there. It's a row of icons which shows things like the current time, your Wi-Fi signal, your battery signal, your phone signal, all those sort of things. And it has several uses as well. So, firstly and foremostly, you can double tap on any part of the bar as a rule, although people tend to use the right-hand side or the middle, and I'll explain why in a minute. That will scroll the view part, the dynamic shifting part of your phone view back to the top. So, if you're in a list of emails, and you scroll down to perhaps the 15th, 20th, 25th email, a double tap on the status bar will pop you back up to the top of your list. That's very, very handy if you want to see the newest stuff. So if you're browsing Twitter, etc., anywhere where the content will keep scrolling, it'll take you not just to the first item on the screen, which is what a four-finger single tap at the top of your screen does, but to the first item in the view as well. It scrolls the view back up. It's very important to know and saves people a lot of time. The left part of the bar can change depending on what you're doing. So if you've got Apple Maps directing you, for example, you can get back to the Maps app quite straightforwardly by tapping on the status bar. If there's a phone call active, you can get back to the phone by tapping on that part of the bar as well, which is quite useful. And the left part of the bar will change if you've gone from A to B using a transport mechanism. That means, let's say, for example, somebody emails you a link to a web page. Okay, so you double tap on the link in the email, and Safari opens up, and you read the web page they've sent you to. The left part of your status bar, while you're on that page, becomes a back to mail button, and you can hop straight back to where you were simply by double tapping on that part of the bar. Very useful. Not just mail, it happens in other apps as well. So you can go back to the app you came from if you've tapped something that takes you out of that app into a different app. Okay. Finally, there are two centers on the iPhone, the control center and notification center. The control center is accessible by tapping the bar and then doing a three-finger flick up. This is where you have things like your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth toggles, your do not disturb, your airplane mode, all the other different little tweaks and things you can toggle on and off with your iPhone. Also in here, people struggle to find this. This is the orientation lock. This is where you can stop your phone going into landscape when you tilt it sideways, and lots of blind people like to keep their orientation locked. And it's quite amusing in our household whenever my daughter has borrowed my wife's phone, because my wife will invariably then start shrieking and saying, "You've turned off my turny thing," by which she means that her orientation has become unlocked. There's also options in the control center for your torch, should you need a light, and various other bits and bobs. You can customize the control center from the settings app. And then finally, a three-finger flick down will pop up the notifications center, and this is accessible so that you can review any notifications you've had. So even if you're doing something on your phone and something comes in, you can always go back and see what notifications you've missed, which is worth knowing about. And both the notification and control centers are accessible by default from the lock screen, so you don't have to unlock your phone to access either of those either. And that's the status bar. You can use it to find things out, to scroll your view up, to go back where you came from, or to access notifications or some of your phone's controls.